What's up, guys? Welcome into another edition of Bogey Free. We are coming at you with some Desert Classic action. This is like the tournament that has had probably the most names, most different sponsors on tour. It was like the Humana Clinton Foundation, the Career Builder Challenge. It's been a little bit of everything, but they kept it simple this year with the Desert Classic. So no Evan tonight, as you can hear, because I'm talking first. He'll be back from his vacation next week. And luckily, I don't need to fly the ship solo tonight. I do have Anthony Amico, who you can find on Twitter at Amixta, of course. What's going on, man? How we doing?
Pretty good. Licking my wounds a little bit from last week. We were just talking about it before the show. Just totally bricked everything. One stroke difference in the cut would have really changed my whole week. So the results felt really far off, but I think in reality I was pretty close. But I mean, we need to recover this week. Not the best tournament to do it because I feel like the Career Builder, Desert Classic, whatever you want to call it, is like not the best. It's like super high variance, but that's fine.
Yeah, and I think we can get into that in a sec. I do just want to shout out. I believe you took down the 3-man, right?
I sure did. I smoked you fools.
Congrats. It was not much of an accomplishment to beat the line that I put in there. I don't even know how Evan did, but either way, congrats on that. Good on you. So it's the standings are Evan 1, Anthony 1, and me 0 as of right now, but it's a long season, so we'll try to get on the board next week, I guess. Shout out to Raider Big Al. He is the winner of the Listener League this past week. Had a really pretty solid lineup here. Just eked it out over Rich's Rich 9. I know Big Al has been in the Bogey Free Listener League for quite a while, so I don't know if he's ever taken it down. So congrats. If you have taken it down, I'm sorry. You're better than I just let on. But we had a couple of interesting. We had the MDF last week, so there was a lot that could have went wrong. And if depending on which lineup you're talking about, for me, it was either a 6 of 6 that ended up with an MDF because of Stricker, or just got way too cute as far as taking shots on, like, I played some Kadira because I figured, he had just played the week before. He looked pretty good, maybe some momentum, but nothing. So yeah, that was sort of the end of my week. Broke even, but it is what it is. Let's talk about this trio of courses real quick, and I'll give people sort of a little bit of a background as far as how this week works. So there are 3 courses that are going to be played. You have the Stadium course, which is the host course, that will be played twice, one of the first 3 rounds, and everybody who makes the cut will play the final round there on Sunday. You have the Nicholas course, and you have La Quinta Country Club. The last 2 courses, which they'll play once, were the 2 easiest courses on tour last year. Literally 50th and 51st out of 51 courses
I like it.
that were played. So there's a pretty big difference as far as scoring average. Last year, they're all par 72s, but the Nicholas tournament course and La Quinta are extremely gettable. The Stadium course is not like Shinnecock by any means, but like it's still, it's you can get your birdies, but really the main point at the Stadium course is birdie the par 5s, and just sort of, not have any blow up holes, and you should be doing pretty decently. Which I guess you could say about most places, but you know what I mean. So because there are 3 courses, we're looking at a 54-hole cut, which of course also means that, and maybe I guess I'll ask your opinion on this too, Anthony, but to me, this is a week where I'm much more willing to take some extra shots with guys that I think have pretty good upside and not as much cut equity. Over the last 3 years with this course rotation, even guys who have missed the cut have scored an average of 47 DraftKings points compared to a normal tournament. They average 22 DraftKings points. So you're still getting a decent amount of points here, even if your guy doesn't play on Sunday. So what are your thoughts there as far as chasing upside this week, and just your general thoughts on this 3-course sort of like clusterfuck that we have to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely taking chances. Honestly, like the fact that the West course, the stadium course, is the final round, like we're just not going to have nearly as much scoring on that day. So, like you said, like even if you miss a cut, like there's a pretty good chance that you're going to have a bunch more scoring, just in terms of like actual golf scoring, like birdies, eagles, whatever. You're going to get those in still in the first 3 rounds. And then round 4, I mean, you're pretty much playing to par anyway. Like it's not like there's going to be there's not going to be as much scoring as 2 of the previous 3 days on La Quinta and the Nicklaus course. So I think that, for me, I'm definitely taking some more shots this week. I'm a lot more interested in the guys that I think can be, 90th percentile or 75th percentile type golfers. And I'll give up some cut equity. I just think that, like, and I saw this in my model creation this week, like the numbers were just a lot lower than they were last week for like cut probability and stuff like that. And just because, we have the extra round, like it's not as important.
Right. And the last thing, it sort of went all over the place on golf Twitter today, talking about which group do you want to target because of the rotation. And a lot of people were saying how in years past, the guys who end up playing the stadium course on Saturday have produced like the most top 10s and the best scoring. But you also have to keep in mind, and we talked it out a little bit with Rick, Rick Rungood, DFS on Demand, and Golf Gurus, which is Golf Savages 2 on Twitter. And we were talking about it, and basically like the tour stacks it so that guys on playing the stadium course on Saturday are the like premier golfers, because that's when everybody's watching on Saturday, and the stadium course is the only one that really has any TV coverage. So he looked it up in his database, and basically the guys who started off, who ended up on stadium course, that like group averaged like $400 more in DK salary, like a huge jump. So it's not like a conspiracy theory. It's really a thing that happens. If people remember back to a couple of years ago when Hadwin shot his 59, they didn't even have cameras there until like the 16th or 17th hole. They literally had to like send a camera crew over to that course because they just don't have coverage of it. So it's a frustrating. Does that mean we
don't have Shot Tracker this week?
You do, but it's awful. Like you'll see like 380-yard drives that are false. Like you'll see triple bogeys. You'll see aces that are not like. Awesome. If it's not the stadium course, it's the worst. It's the worst sweat probably of the year. Like these 3-course rotations. It's just not fun. And it's a pro-am, so the rounds take forever. Like it's just a basic shit show. Like there's no way around it. The rounds are long, guys get cranky, and that's my ringing endorsement for the Desert Classic.
PGA DFS, let's get it.
So please keep listening. Well, if you already started listening, it counts as a download. So I don't really give a shit anymore. But no, but honestly, the courses themselves are like, the stadium course is awesome to watch golf on. It's a die course, and it's pretty a pretty interesting design if you're into that kind of thing. But I digress. Why don't we talk about some of these chalky options up at the top that we're looking at this week? I sort of earmarked Rahm, Howell, and Hadwin. who on the first run of my ownership projections seem to have popped the most. It's flattened out a little bit after I ran it this evening. But give me your quick buy or sell on each of those three guys. Anybody you're interested in, or anybody you're fading?
I mean, Howell's definitely my favorite of the group. Chuck, like, just get used to hearing this. Like, Chuck Howell is always going to be in my player pool. Like, the guy has awesome cut equity every week. He's a really good golfer. Like, I think the win stigma really has hurt him more than it should. But I mean, he's $1,300 cheaper than Rahm. I know that Rahm is obviously a better golfer. You know, if you're looking at world golf rankings, or if you're looking at just the odds for this tournament, but I just feel like Howell is a little bit underpriced relative to Rahm. Excuse me. And he's the only golfer actually in the whole field for me that has a perfect stat rating. So he really fits the course pretty nicely. I'm all about strokes gained off the tee and sand saves gained on this course. Howell top 40 in both, third in doubles avoided last year. So you don't need me to sit here and tell you that Chuck Howell is a good golfer, but he's in good form and has very good course history here as well in his limited appearance. The course history stuff that I did this week, I tried to base it all on the last 3 years just because we had the same course rotation. And Howell 2012 and 11 the last 3 years here. So he's been really good. Yeah, I love Howell this week. I mean, Rahm is always in play just because he can always win. But I prefer Howell, and I will just have no Adam Hadwin. I know the course history is amazing. I was like judging you about this earlier this week. I mean, amazing course history. Top 6 finishes each of the last 3 years. I just can't get behind his fit. Like, I would rather just pay the $300 for a guy who has just about as good a course history and also is a way better fit for the course. I mean, Hadwin, 91st in strokes gained off the tee and 124th in sand save gained. Not exactly a ringing endorsement for his ability here. And yeah, I'm just not going to play around with it. And I will fade Hadwin, especially if especially if he's going to be popular. Like, Hadwin's the guy where I'd love to be like at the end of the show, be like, hey, Adam Hadwin has great course history and no one's going to play him, but if people are going to play him, I'm interested.
Yeah, I wonder how much of the sentiment around that is the 59 too. Like, I wonder if he misses 2 putts that day and he shoots 61, like if the story is still the same, like everybody just loves him. It might be because the finishes were strong, but it's just interesting like that. The mystique of the 59 is like definitely, buoying his ownership. Honestly, I agree with you. I think as far as Hadwin goes, like I really have no interest in paying $10,000 for Adam Hadwin. This isn't the strongest field in the world. That's probably an understatement, but
I was shocked that he was 10K.
Yeah, like for him to be this popular at 10K is concerning to me. I have him right now at 18%. For $10,000, if he's going to approach 20% owned, and it could go down maybe a little bit because people are thinking this way, but if he's going to be even like 16, 17%, does he really have those odds to like finish in the top 3? I know he's done it the last few years, but I don't know. He's somebody I'm very comfortable fading. If it bites me, it bites me. I'll just put like a top 5 bet on him on my bookie and do the life hedge that way. Yeah, and then like obviously Howell should be in your cash lineups. Like no question about it. There's an argument to be made that you could probably like start a lot of your lineups going no higher than him and be pretty comfortable about making the cut. But I will go Jon Rahm all day. Yeah, we'll probably be talking about him again in a little bit. So yeah, those 3 guys as of right now look to be the highest, and we'll get into the lesser owned guys in a few minutes here. The next sort of trio that I've targeted between 7,500 and 9,400, which obviously is a very big range, but
we got to tune that up for the next show, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, I also in this part, I don't really want to talk about like every $1,000 range, and then
No, no, of course, of course. But I feel like the guys like who are just under 9,500, like I don't like I would say like
maybe
go to
8K,
9K.
maybe like 8K to 9,400, and then go under 8K.
Yeah. Maybe something like
Especially for like this week, we'll get to the guys that I've that sort of popped in the ownership model, and you'll be like, why the hell would anybody play them?
that. Right, yeah. Like I feel like I'm always like really conflicted about like who to choose in the ranges and stuff.
Right.
I don't know. Thinking out
Yeah,
loud.
we're a work in progress here, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for this week, the three guys that sort of pop the most are Hudson Swafford, Corey Connors, and Joaquin Neiman. Are we? What's the combo here? We selling everybody, buying everybody, mixing it up? What do you think?
I mean, I'm not thrilled with this group. Uh, Connors is probably the one that I like the best. 17th in strokes gained off the tee last year, which is pretty important. Obviously, you want to set yourself up to be successful. Has a ton of cut equity, but not a lot of win equity. So that's the only thing with a guy like Connors this week. Very average in terms of like current form and course history. So he doesn't blow me away, but he does have a pretty nice Vegas ratings in terms of his Vegas odds relative to his salary. And that's kind of like the theme of the week, like because the field isn't that great.
Yeah.
The odds are like very, very level throughout the field. So I mean, he's fine. He's not like one of my favorite golfers, but he is fine. And Neiman is just not a thing for me at all. I don't. You're gonna have to explain this one to me.
You're insane. You're a
Just
clinically
explain
insane person.
Explain him to
Because
me.
it's Joaquin fucking Neiman.
What does that mean?
Listen, that's outrageous. Let's see, he his last 16 starts. So I'm throwing out the Masters because it was his first event. Sure. He wasn't a pro. He turned pro after the Masters. So starting from the Texas Open last year, he's averaging over almost 75 DraftKings points across 16 starts, which like might not sound like a ton, but it's wildly impressive when you consider that he was 19 for most of that. And you're all about this breakout age, fella. You got to get on the Neiman train if you're going to be talking about
in golf
breakout age everywhere, right?
It's just like a guy like him. It just feels like I think I said this on the last show. Like it just feels like early Bryson. Like when Bryson came up and people were playing him. I mean, I know "come up" isn't really the correct term in golf. I don't really care. It was like, oh, Bryson, so good, so talented, and like yeah, like now he's amazing. But like the first like 6 events he played, he sucked. Like
yeah,
people
but
were excited to play him, and it's just like I just don't. I understand that this course is not very difficult, or the course rotation in general not difficult, but he's never played here. 60th or worse in 2 of his last 3 starts. He really hasn't played like a ton of golf. He only played 3 events the last 12 weeks. I don't know. It just feels thin to me. Because I think that there's some more proven guys in this range that have
oh man,
that I like more.
I can't wait for him to just ship this. Like 7,600 for him is an egregious price. Like I'll tell you, let's scroll up from there. Like Berger, not better. Like give me a break. Knox, Schwartzel, give me a fucking break. All these guys. Like stop. JJ Spawn, he could easily be the same price as JJ Spawn.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Jones, but the Vegas bettors do not agree with you.
That's fine. That's a good thing.
66-1 to win, and I mean he has the same odds as a couple other guys in this range. It's not like he's really setting himself apart.
No, insane. It's because he hasn't played the last couple weeks.
Same odds as Sibu Kim, the GOAT.
No, this is egregious. Give me all of the Neiman. As far as the other guys go, I kind of agree with you on Connors. I think he's a good fit, but I will probably just by virtue of him being $100 off Neiman, just not click on him much, if at all.
Swapper's a little pricey for my liking.
Yeah, 8,300. Obviously he has the combination, right? Like he's coming off of a T3. I think, right? T3,
Yeah.
somewhere in there, top 5 for sure.
Yeah, no, he finished third last week.
And he's obviously played well here as well. So anytime you get both of those things happening, like ownership is, everybody's just going to be talking about him, and ownership's going to go. So,
are we sure Hudson Swafford is a good golfer?
I would say that he is. I'm trying to think of like a nice way to put it.
Like, I feel like Hudson Swafford is like he was not very good 3 years ago, broke out 2 years ago, and then last year he kind of like regressed.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's just like, that's just kind of who he is. Like, I don't think he's like a guy that I'm afraid is going to come in and just like obliterate the field, and I'm going to be mad I didn't play him.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Last week he hit 3/4 of his greens, which is fine. But he had a pretty hot putter too. So that sort of thing, it's not something that if he was like 82% of greens regulation, maybe I could feel a little better about it, but I'm not crazy about like the hot putter finish and like a huge ownership bump because of course history. Like those aren't the kind of guys I'll play. If he ends up beating me, then like I said, so be it. But I don't think you need to roster him by any means. And I guess we'll talk about those guys in a couple minutes. But there's definitely some options a little bit above and a little bit below him that I think are just as worthy for your consideration this week. All right. So real quick, like maybe just, I don't even understand how like this Anders Albertson thing was even happening. I said that before, and then I reran the numbers and it completely dropped. So let's not even talk about him. What about Ryan Armour? You have any interest? I know he's your boy. So.
Well, I mean, he obviously tried to single-handedly get me across the cash line last week. By going a combined like 8 under over the last like 2 days. So shouts to Armour for like trying to put on for his city being my DraftKings lineup. But I will not be going back to the well this week. Not a very high rated golfer for me. 120th in strokes gained off the tee. Obviously he's in great form, but not great course history here. Missed the cut last year, finished 66th the year before that. So there is evidence that maybe this course rotation is not his best. So I don't know. I just feel like if I'm playing, I'm really just doing it for the form.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't want to make like a form only play after he was just good. I felt like last week was the week to have him, and I did that. And now I don't want him anymore.
There you go. All right. Before we hop into our GPP pivots.
GP pivots, yeah.
I want to remind you guys, you can still get into the listener league. We have it at 50 man again, $5 to get in, pays the top 3. And this week I was feeling a little frisky, so I added a 50-50 as well. It's 40 man, $3 to get in. So if you're more of a cash, you listen, but you're more of a cash player and don't want to put your money in like a top 3 payout structure, then hop into the 50-50 or just jump into both. Right?
Yeah, actually, I think it's pretty cool, honestly, the 50-50. I saw you post it, and I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah, figure I mix it up.
Yeah, I feel like it gives our listeners an opportunity to play in a couple different contests. I mean, not to jinx it, but I feel like the listener league has filled like with very, very relative ease.
Yeah.
So, give the people what they want, which is more us.
Yeah, we got 20 spots left in the GPP, and we're about half full in the 50-50. So there's usually a big push like Wednesday afternoon. So we'll tweet it out. It'll be in the link to the show on iTunes and or YouTube if I remember one or both of those to do both of those things. All right, let's hop into the pivots. Above 9,500. So from good old lefty up, is there anybody outside of the guys we spoke about earlier that you're interested in?
Nobody. Not a single guy. I'm going to be very balanced this week. I think I'll probably balance a lot of weeks, honestly. That's just kind of how I play. But I have no interest in like Rose, Cantlay, Putnam. Putnam, by the way, true to his name, just pure fire. Like,
oh yeah,
fireballs coming out of his putter last week. I don't
wildly sustainable.
Yeah, exactly. Everything we want in a golfer. Very hot, recent putting form.
I know. I was looking, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was like over 4 strokes gained on the greens at least twice. Like, it was just insane. Again, another guy only hit 3/4 of the greens in regulation. So not somebody that I'm super interested in either. I don't understand, like, the fact that you don't like, do you not like Cantlay?
Like, as a person?
Like, are you not like a Cantlay guy?
He's not my favorite golfer. He does have good stats.
He
does have good stats, and he does
no Neiman and no Cantlay. I don't know, man.
I am a man that plays true to what he knows, and what I know is the numbers. And he has great stats. He's a really good stat fit, and his form is very good, considering he's only played like a couple events. He's finished 5th, 2nd, 7th. Like, he's been a very good golfer in his limited performances, but he's never played here before. And I really hate playing first timers pretty much anywhere. I just don't do it.
You want to guess how many cuts he missed last year?
Probably like 1.
2.
He's a good golfer.
He's so goddamn good. Like, so many top tens.
I'm not fading him because I don't think he's a good player. This is how I play. I don't like to play people who are seeing a course for the first time. I know you're not a big course history guy, but I do think that, like, we just don't know. Like, seeing something the first time, we just don't know. And I'd rather just not do it.
I don't know, man. I will have a healthy dose of Cantlay for sure. The whole Rose thing with the new irons, I don't really know what to make of it. So I'm just going to avoid that situation until, like, we have a better feel as to what's going on.
He's Justin Rose, right? Like, we don't expect this to be an issue.
No, but like, sometimes it is an issue, and I don't really feel like I need to pay 11,000 for him with Rahm and Cantlay on either side of him. Like, maybe if this was like an even weaker field and he was the most expensive guy and there was like no other options, I would feel more comfortable going with him. But I just don't feel confident enough. Like, I'd rather play Howell over him, to be totally honest. So
CH3.
There you go. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. That's probably an awful take, and he'll probably end up winning now that I said that. But yeah, that's how I feel. So gotta speak my truth,
Hey, live your best life always.
Always. All right. As we dip down, you said you're going balanced, so I'm assuming you have just a cavalcade of guys in the 7,500 to 9,500 range.
Yeah, I love this range. At the top we have Reavie and Piercy, who are just in excellent form. Very similar stat profiles, about 79% to make the cut, 21% to finish inside the top 10 percentile. So really good there. And I just really like the discount on those two guys. I know that, obviously, like, guys like Howell, Rose, Cantlay, like, obviously those guys all have, better win equity. But I just think getting Reavie and Piercy for like over $1,000 cheaper than those guys is a really nice buy for how they're playing. They're not like tremendous course fits. Like, they're just inside the top 75 in strokes gained off the tee, but the regression model says that that's good enough. So I'll take it. And Piercy in particular doesn't double very often. Puts himself in a really good position to score. So really like both of those guys in like the upper 9K range. I'll let you get a couple guys in first because I'm loaded in this area.
No, keep going. Go for it.
Okay. Okay. My hashtag stud of the week is Kryptonite play, Brendan Steele. I love Brennan Steele. I think he's awesome. 16th off the tee. We know that he doesn't really struggle for distance. Hasn't played a ton of golf this year, but has been good when he's been out there. Finished 12th about 9 weeks ago, so he's got that under his belt. And 20th, 6th, and 34th the last 3 years on this rotation. Just very, very solid throughout. And again, at cost, like I just think he's a guy that should probably be in the 8K range. We get him at 7,600, really like that. And I like Peter Uihlein as well. Doesn't distance off the tee, not really his thing, right? Strokes gained off the tee, not his thing. Outside top 100, but top 50 in sand saves gained. He's really good in like the par fours and the par fives here, and top 2 in doubles avoided. You combine that with his current form and his limited course history, makes for a good play. I mean, he finished 17th here last year, finished 7th and 23rd in his only 2 appearances in the last 12 weeks here, in the last 12 weeks on tour. So I just feel like Uihlein, again, good golfer. We know some things, and those things tell me that I can get him as like a relatively low-owned play. So like we talked about taking some chances. Like Uihlein might not make the cut, but I do think that he has, opportunity to really perform at that price. So I'll stop there because this is a great range, but I think that those are my main 4 guys.
Yeah, I like those. I like those calls. In addition, I would say I would throw some. I'm a sucker for Luke List. If we're saying we want to maybe find some birdies, like he's pretty good at that. So
first off the tee.
Yeah, like just he's one of those guys that like you just want to play him when he's not going to be as popular, and he's not going to be like single digit owned by any stretch. He'll probably be, I have him like 13 right now. But he's right by Ches, who's going to be popular-ish too. Like Answer's right there, Wise is right there. Like there's a bunch of guys who could sort of get a late push and get popular at the end. So List is definitely in my pool this week. Sung Jae Im, I'm just going to keep playing every single week. He came out like really slow at the Sony on Thursday. I think he shot like 71 or 72, and then he was just hot fire. The rest of the week hit like 80% of his greens, and the putter was just dog shit. So we'll keep going for those guys who are hitting greens and can't putt. Rahm actually had a similar week last week, or the last time we saw him, with just bad putting. That sort of did him in. But we'll take that for what it's worth. So Eam. And then outside of that, like the guys that you mentioned make a ton of sense to me. I never get Steele right, but I'm definitely on him this week as well. And yeah, I feel pretty comfortable leaving it there. What about? I'll give you one for the for the below 7,500 range. And I don't think anybody's going to be on him this week, but I really do think that this is like the GOAT smash spot for Jason Kokrak. What say you?
Okay. I wasn't sure if you had more commentary on that. I mean, yeah, he has ceiling, he has upside. He fits into 2 of the higher nodes for like 75th and 90th percentile projections. 25th off the tee, 4th in 200 plus yard proximity, 4th in par 5, 500 to 550 yards. So it's not like a terrible spot for Kokrak. But I mean, the guy just played no golf. Like that's my only issue is I would imagine he's just like really, really just icy in terms of his play. Did finish 8th here last year, missed the cut 3 years ago, but yeah, hasn't played a lot of golf. His last event was 11 weeks ago, finished 66th. So
yeah,
my only qualm. But again, that's why you're going to get him, low price, low owned.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. I think I'm not putting a ton of stock into like really worrying about like bad results from then, just because like who knows what they've worked on since then and everything else. And a lot of times you'll see these guys on, especially a guy like Kokrak. Like, I feel like he's the type of golfer that is like he'll just bomb the shit out of the ball, and like he can, like, if he gets a couple of good, a few good strokes under him, I think he like snaps into form pretty quickly. And I really like rooting for him. I like that guy. So I'll definitely have, I'm talking about like a lineup. I'm not talking about like he's going to be in my cash game. Like he's
Sure,
a little sprinkle here. Other than that, like I'll let you go with a couple of your guys, and then I'll see if there's anybody else that jumps out to me here.
All right. Well, first of all, is there any chance I could interest you in Rory Sabatini?
No.
No, huh? He was on my original list, and then I took him off.
I just hate his face, like, generally.
He has like a 34% chance to finish into the top 10% according to my regression trees. But that's just because he smashes out of the sand first in sand saves gained last year.
Yeah.
Which was the most important stat for upper percentile golfers this week. Just thought that was really interesting. The guy that I probably like the most is Brandon Harkins. He's 6,900, very nice price. Was very solid throughout. Decent off the tee, decent out of the sand. Doesn't have like a ton of holes in his game. Played really well here.
Aren't there usually 18 holes?
What did I say?
Never mind. You said there's not a lot of holes in this. Never mind.
Oh, you're the worst. Finished 8th here last year.
I got no sleep last night. I'm just like I'm getting real punchy. The last 15 minutes of this show is going to be something else.
And you know what? Respect. Just do your thing. And already has a top 10 under his belt this year. I mean, I just don't think it's crazy. Like, again, like he's a guy where like, okay, I mean, I guess he could miss the cut completely, but he could also like top 10. And that's kind of what we said we're interested in this week. So I feel like Harkins is fine. Harris English, really good here. What happened to Harris English, by the way? Because I felt like there was like a period of time where he was like a really good golfer, and he kind of just like fell off.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what exactly happened last year. I feel like he just went, I don't know if he was hurt or what, but he went through a stretch like pretty much the whole summer. I don't know if he made a cut. Like he was just awful, like all over the place. I don't know if there was like an injury or something, but he definitely lost it in a big way. But in the fall swing, he, not like he was lighting the world on fire, but he got his game back together a little bit, got some rounds in the 60s, and last week did pretty well. So maybe it's coming around for him again.
I hope so. I liked him. And Johnny Vegas, who is like
all the upside.
Yeah, I had him when he had the ace, maybe like a year or two ago, and I love that man with my whole heart.
Yeah.
That was when the ace bonus on DK was like auto win.
Yeah, like you're just jump like 30% of the field. Thank God they changed that too, because that was like, it was the best when you got it, but it was just the absolute worst when you didn't have one.
Oh yeah, especially if it was like a chalk guy, like when Kuchar had one. It was just like all your money went away, and you were like, oh, someone chalky definitely just got a hole in one.
Yeah, I like those calls too. Anybody who's ever listened to the show knows that I'm a sucker for Sung Moon Bae. And of course he had to shoot a 65 on Friday, like just to really like get me back on board. So I will throw him in a lineup somewhere. He was just like, again, like another just dog shit guy with the putter. But I think he was maybe what was the cut? 2 under, right? This past week?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he went 75-65 to be even. So he missed the cut by 2 strokes after shooting 75 on Thursday. So that was way too much of a sell on Sung Moon Bae. Like, I'm gonna have him in one lineup, but I like him. I like Jose De Jesus de fucking Rodriguez, as he's affectionately known in one of the group chats that we're in. 6,100. Like I talked about it a little bit a couple of weeks ago. Like the dude's just playing with house money, and he just like goes after. Like he just goes for it. Like if he puts together a few solid rounds, he definitely has some scoring upside. So I like him as well. But again, these couple of guys that I just mentioned are really like one lineup, and cross your fingers and close your eyes. Don't watch. Like don't follow them on Shot Tracker or anything. Just hope.
Don't worry, you can't anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you have anybody else down there for the pivots or.
No, I mean, I'm good. Like I said, I'm really, most of my lineups, I think I'm going to make like completely of like 7,500 to 9,400 guys. I really don't think I'm going to go higher than Ches in most of my lineups. And if I do, I'll just play Howell in like a cash setting or something.
Gotcha. All right. So why don't you hit us with your two cash locks, the guys you are, not that you absolutely will, but you're willing to go 100% on this week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going Ches Goat. Just like I said, very, very solid and in good form. Those are the kind of golfers that I like. And I'm gonna push the hopeful button on Brendan Steele. Like I'm just gonna play him. I think Steele's a guy where like if you're gonna play him, you gotta just dive in. You can't like put your toe in the water and see if it's cold. You gotta just dive in and hope that he's putting well this week. And I don't know. I think that this is a good week for Steele. Like he's the top rated player in my whole model this week. And I don't know. That speaks volumes to me. Not a great week in the model. Like there's just only four, rating system 1 to 100 or 0 to 100. There's only 4 golfers 90 or better. Only 5, 6, 7 golfers 80 or better. So it's a really tough week, I think. Yeah. And I'm just going to stick with my concentration of players that I really like.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know if Ev was here, at least one of his guys would have been Lucas Glover. So shout out to him.
I could wear the glove this week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think like tomorrow afternoon when I run the last ownership, because I feel like a lot of people are talking about him, but he hasn't really popped in my ownership model yet. I think that's probably because he's pretty close to Swafford. So like that might be dumbing him down a little bit, but if he's going to stay in that, like I have him at like 11% right now. If he's going to stay in that range and be like less than half as owned as Swafford and about as half as owned as Reavie, I think he makes for an interesting play for sure.
Yeah, what do you have Reavie at?
Reavie right now I have at 21.5%.
Great, but I'll pay it. I'll pay it.
Yeah, Wise is pretty high up there too. So I'm curious. I feel like Reavie probably gets a little bit more of the cash ownership and not as much of the GPP ownership. Like this model is trained on like the 20 entry max and the single entry. So it kind of pulls from both. Not that those tournaments differ too much as far as ownership, but I would say Reavie will be closer to 27, 28% in cash and probably like 18 or 19% in GPPs would be my guess.
You got to push that angle, by the way. That's the ownership projection model of the people right there. The single entry and the 3, and because like the 20 max, because I feel like most, obviously most ownership is focused on like the 150 MME stuff.
Right.
And
I mean, as far as last year goes, and again, like we actually we were flying, so we're good. I can digress for a second here just to talk about it, but basically, like the correlation between the single entry to the 3 entry, or the 3 entry to the 20 entry, or the 20 entry, whatever combination of different types of entries for the ownership, it's all like above like 0.9 R squared. Like there are such slight variations between them And surprisingly enough, it has more to do with buy-in than it does to do with like the entry limitations.
That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Higher buy-in, usually less total entries, also maybe a little sharper field.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it.
Like, speaking of which, just real quick, also, like 7,100, George Cunningham is going to be like owned in some of the higher entry stuff, I would guess. He's like a Mackenzie Tour grad. I saw his name going around a couple different places. I think Ben Coley put him in his article this week as like a bomb, like outright bet. So he'll probably get some ownership this week as well.
Bring it.
Yeah. So that was a big little break for the between your cash locks and my cash locks. But I am gonna go, just because you made me dig in. I'm gonna go Neiman. And I'm going to cop out with Rahm just in case the Neiman thing goes wrong.
Round 1 +6 ejection.
Yeah, it's possible for sure.
I'm a supporter of you, so I don't root for that, but I'm also a supporter of me being able to hold things over you. So.
Fair, all fair points. Yeah, I think that Rahm is probably going to end up being my one and done. I don't really want to burn him yet, but we talked about it last week, and I just feel like I just want to play all the good golfers. So I'm not going to end up with like, I like Uline in DFS, but I'm not going to make him one of my one and dones this year. Like, I don't need to dip to him, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. And who'd you use last week? At Leishman, you said?
Leishman, yeah.
And then that was the first week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, you're in good shape so far.
Yeah, I think there ended up a little bit over 3,000 entries in the Gups corner one and done, and I think there were like 300 people above me. So good start. Gotta start somewhere,
Surprised you didn't go Cantlay one and done.
Don't tempt me. I will. he's high enough in the world golf rankings where I can justify that. Like, that's literally all I'm doing. So
I love that. Like, I can get you to do anything just by like razzing you about it.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Because you're
such a you won't. Yeah, you're such like a you won't kind of guy. Where it's like,
honestly, now that you mention it, like Cantlay is probably gonna be lower owned in that. So that actually makes a little bit of sense. Because all the fucking course history fish are gonna be all over Rahm because he won here last year. So, all right, maybe we'll see. I'm sure everybody's waiting on bated breath to see what I come up with for my one and done this year. So, either way, please make sure that you are following along with both of us on Twitter. I'm at Matt Jones TFR. Anthony is at Amixta. Make sure also you are subscribed to both the YouTube channel and the iTunes feed so that you can listen and or watch whenever. And other than that, I think we're good here. Anthony, anything to add here?
No, I mean, I'm just excited. I'm hoping that we can kind of keep it rolling. I really want to get off this West Coast swing because I love the Central. I love like the tournaments like Arizona and stuff. I love the East Coast swing. So just get me the hell out. I'm glad we're out of Hawaii. Let's just keep moving east.
Yeah, no, Florida is like where I hit my stride. Once we hit like the Valspar and the Honda and everything, it's going to be awesome.
Right. And we just have like a lot more information. Like that's the thing is like, right now, most of my stuff, like I'm building it off of, year N-1 data points, but like, it's just because we don't have enough information on current year stuff. So like once we hit that mid-year point and I can start using like current year data, oh baby, it's going to be lit.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So make sure like I said, you're following along. Jump in the listener league and good luck this week, and we will talk soon. See ya.